Just to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded, and we'll do a roll call first, please. Roger Race.
Roger is here.
Andy.
I'm here.
TJ.
Here.
Donna.
Here.
Eli.
Here.
All right, and Kevin is here. The meeting minutes, I guess we'll just delay that for a moment until Andrea gets on board. So we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is the Warren Hathaway Marina project update. And I guess, Steve, if you want to begin that,
I'm not sure how much of a voice I've got left, but the select board at their prior, not last night, but the previous meeting approved the honorary naming of the facility after Warren G. Hathaway. So we have, we got what we asked for, and in short time.
Nice.
Yep.
Great. Awesome.
There's a updated calendar as far as the timeline. Basically, they're done with the contract work by the end of March. So in less than 2 weeks, they'll be done. And if you look at it, they're finishing the decking, and then the groundwork will be done by the subcontractor. So that's the update on the calendar.
If I could add something on that, I mean, honestly, I can't say enough about the group that we hired to get this thing done. To deliver that project in the winter we're having or have had is, is spectacular. It's very well done. Very well done on the oversight too, Steve. Just really, there's something to be said for that. Given all of us who've been engaged in projects in the last couple of years know how bad the delays have been. I'm shocked and pleased that they're delivering on time and on budget.
Yeah.
Slightly under budget, but yeah, it's impressive. And I mean, these guys, they don't take no for an answer. The weather it slows them down because the equipment gets slowed down, but they don't allow it to slow down progress. And yeah, I'm impressed too.
I did go over there several times when they were working on those cold days and gave them a thank you and much appreciation. So they said, well, it's what we do. So
impressed, very impressive.
Strong bunch of guys over there. So
that's the calendar. The accounting, the good side is there is going to be money left over, if you will. We don't know the amount, so I don't want to speculate, but we're working with Patrick to figure out the punch lists and what might remain and how it will best be used, and which is item D under 3. So the punch list and priorities, the orange box has got to go back. I would like to see the 2 old floats alongside the old part of the pier replaced so that there's a safe matchup between the 2, old and new.
That makes sense.
Or
they have one thing aging at the same time, basically.
Yep.
Right, and it's that there's 2 different heights because they were built by 2 different people at 2 different centuries, never mind 2 different decades. And there's just, because of the angle of the pier, there's a fan angle that's not covered that could be with a new pier, a new float. Anyway, so that would be on my priority punch list for any remaining funds. And of course, the 2 that are there that are from the past century still have useful life left and could be repurposed either for us or someone else. But I'm sure we wouldn't have to pay to dispose of the old. So that's it on the punch list and the priorities, which can be discussed further. But I'll turn it back to Kevin for the dedication ceremony.
Okay, if I can just jump back to the accounting one more. Some money that I know we do have is last night the select board unanimously approved the reapplication. So we're going to pick up the $50,000 of ARPA money that was going to the Roger Street project is now going to go to our project over to Dias Landing. So that was awarded last night, and we have an extra 50,000, and also depends on what the number Patrick comes up with. So I think we may have to do a little huddling to see what we can do to make sure we get that project to be everything we
Well-
want it to be.
Kevin, would that be restricted in any way, or could we use it to rebuild the dinghy storage racks and that kind of stuff?
I think we're going to talk to Patrick and kind of morph all that into by way
So
of
it's not restricted in any way, as long as we use it in the project
yes,
in some form.
I'm pretty sure, right? Because the amount is well under the contract price. These things can be done as a change order, so we're
Okay.
confident that that can be done. And expanding on Roger Street a little more, some more information I found out that the Roger Street grant does not particularly have to be returned at this point. The 1-year time limit is up in June, which the town may ask for an extension. And also, if we regroup and come up with another item for over there, another project, that we can amend the boat ramp issue and probably have the $250,000 reassigned to that project on Roger Street without having to go through the application process again. So an amendment might keep the 250 in play. Yes, Roger.
SEC grants require a 20% match, and
Right.
we are taking gleefully taking the 50,000 to bring it over to Dias Landing.
As
So
long
we
as-
got to be careful.
As long as we can get that
come
in
up with a
place.
match.
Right, as long as we can get that in place, if we come up with a project, it'll just be from another source, probably the CPC or something like that. But you are correct, the match has gone over to this project, but we do have another year and the ability to go to another project. So I think that's good news. There's a couple of caveats there, as you explained, Roger, that we'll have to come up with the money, but the project isn't dead at this point, and we haven't lost the grant. So.
That's great. So I'm still meeting with Chris tomorrow about Roger Street. So that's good to hear that that's open-minded in that way.
Yeah, if you guys can kind of come up with, or anyone comes up with a suggestion to make that project work over there, we still probably have the grant available.
How can I? Sorry, I'm not on video. How long can we hold on to the 50,000 before we have to use it? Can we hold it in abeyance till we come up with an idea?
But that's on my punch list to meet with Patrick and Gary Carrero, the town administrator. So that's quickly moving up the list to find out when that deadline is. So
Okay, I'm just gonna diary that.
well aware of that, believe me.
Can-
Moving on to the
Can I
dedication.
interrupt? Can I
Yes.
interrupt for just a second? There was a note that came in. It looked like from Andrea, the link to the meeting, she can't, it's not live and whatever she's trying to connect. Does
Okay.
someone have a link that they can easily send to her? Is there a
No one
way
knows.
to, I don't know how to do it from
I'm
Zoom.
working on
Yeah,
doing
that
that.
I don't know how to do. I go into Zoom and then I just put in the meeting ID. I don't use the link. I just
I'm
use the
working on that
Zoom
right
app.
now. I'm sending her the link right now.
It's always the youngest.
Go
Thank
Eli.
you.
Always the youngest one in the group. that
Ask
doesn't
young
know.
people to do things if you need anything with technology.
Oh God.
I'm sorry to say I'm not that young, guys.
You
Eli,
are-
everything
Yes.
is
Oh, yes,
relative.
you
baby.
are. Yes.
You're just a
hopefully
kid.
hopefully that works for her. I saw the email come through a few minutes ago.
Sorry, Kevin, to
All right,
interrupt.
no problem. And then moving on to the dedication ceremony, I've spoken with the harbor master, Steve. I've spoken with Marcia Hathaway and DCTV, and you just got to set a date somewhere, which we're probably 99% on June the 6th, which is a Friday, and 4 to 6 in the afternoon. That would give working people a chance to get over to that. And unless there's any huge objections to that, that's what we got set up. So I'll throw that out there and hope that that works for everybody. I would like to see, I'm sure
talking with Marcia will kind of hi, Andrea, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you, Eli.
No worries.
And speaking with Marcia, we probably ought to invite the sailing team. Warren had a long presence in the yacht club and in the community. So I expect that to be quite a big affair. We will send an invitation to the lieutenant governor. Whether she'll be able to make that or not, I'm not sure.
And then I would like to establish a group of 1 or 2 people.
Kev, you froze.
What kind of a ceremony we can turn that into. DCTV has offered to record the program. They'll provide any speakers for people who want to talk. And they would also be willing to play some music for us. Should we a person
We
Kevin,
lost you, Kev.
I'm happy to work on that with you.
We already thought that was your committee.
Yeah, I know you did.
David is TJ, did you bounce in there?
Yeah, you're freezing on us, Kev, a little bit. Or me, anyway.
Yeah, same.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So what was unclear? Where did I bounce off?
No, we figured it out. It's like, Dan is in charge now, right?
Well, I thought she'd volunteer for the subcommittee. Yeah, so I guess that played out just right.
Yeah. Well, while you were frozen.
Yeah.
While you were frozen, she got deputized.
Yeah, right. It's all a conspiracy. Okay, so where are we? Can we get Donna and somebody else maybe to join us in some kind of a little committee to get something? Be a short type of jam session and see what we can figure out and throw some ideas around to make this a good time.
I'll be happy to be a worker bee, but I don't really want to be on the planning committee. Just throw
Okay.
some tasks at me.
Okay, playlist. Okay, so we'll get Dana and nobody else, then I'll jump in with Dana. I'm sure the two of us can accomplish a party type atmosphere, celebration atmosphere. Steve, can I bounce back to you? Is there anything else now that we need to discuss under the marina?
No, I think that's it. At some point soon, we'll have to come up with that punch list and priorities.
Yeah.
Once we know how much we got to spend, we got to figure out how to spend it before the time runs out.
Sure.
And that's it under this section.
Okay. All right, I guess we'll move on. Let's go back to the number 2 now. We have Andrea present to do the meeting minutes, Andrea, from the last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read those? And do I have a motion for that then?
I sent an email with the link to the recording and the correct spelling of the interim town administrator Gary Carrero's name. So with those 2 edits, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of February meeting.
All right, I'll second that with those amendments. Thank you, Andrea.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Let's take a vote. Roger?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
TJ?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Donna, you're muted. Andrea and Eli?
Yes.
And chair votes yes, so that's unanimous. Okay, moving along to the number 4, the season boat excise progress and issues. Steve, you have the floor.
Yeah, I pretty much would rather be on the floor rather than sitting here telling you. I have never seen stuff go so badly in this town in 21 years.
Let's keep it positive now. We're getting some money, so.
Oh, it's not worth it. It's not worth the pain. Let me just quickly describe what has happened. First of all, the bills went out and they had the letter that said, if you have a problem, call Steve. That doesn't work. My phone doesn't work. I can't process all the information that's coming in. But what's going on is that acting assessor, requested a list from the state after receiving one from our office and one from the federal government. And she somehow got a list of all active boat titles having anything to do with the town of Dartmouth. And if any of you have boats, you probably have no idea how many boat titles you still have in your name. Because if you sell a boat and it goes to another state, that state doesn't return the title to Massachusetts. They just create a new title in that state. So your Massachusetts title is still active. I've got people who lost their boats in Hurricane Bob to the insurance company who are now getting, for the first time since 1991, getting an excise tax bill, whether they're dead or alive. People who sold boats, God knows when, and don't even remember the boat. And I go look on the state site, and yeah, your title still says active. The boat isn't registered, but you got an active title. So they're getting excise bills. And of course, to get rid of this, you need to have paper, proof that you sold the boat. Boats I sold in the 90s, I doubt I still have paper for, but that's what's required to correct it. And then on top of that, this is the first. The second punch comes in April, where the same list goes out and we double down on the same errors and the same pain.
I don't.
We will be modifying that list, just to let you know.
I think we should just use the harbor master list of boats that we know are in the harbor and the federal documentation list, and that's it. And this is going to create more problems than it's worth.
DJ, if I were the one making the bills, that's what I'd do.
The problem is once these bills went out, the laws that go around excise tax kicked in, and I believe you can't even re-register your car if you have an outstanding excise tax bill somewhere.
Nor your license, your driver's license in Massachusetts. It's insidious.
Exactly what I said was going to happen.
Yeah, and people are throwing their hands up and saying, I can't get anybody to answer my question. I'm just ignoring it. Well, it'll come back to bite them in 6 months to a year. I can't, and I get the calls. I demand that you erase this bill. Good luck. I can't do it for myself. I can't do it for anybody else. And, you know,
Roger?
Yeah, Steve, I feel your pain. I felt that letter that went out was fairly badly done. It should be rewritten and say just the assessor or Gary Carrero and send it right back. It shouldn't go to you. I mean, we all know you're hamstrung here. So we should make sure the next letter, because there's another one coming, right?
that's right.
By the end of April.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that it certainly has caused a lot of trepidation out there. We're aware of that. I'm sure that we can, Donna and I can compile that list again. Let Steve review the states and all the people that he knows, they don't belong on that list right from the get-go. So we will modify that. I'm sure there'll be mistakes on the 30th, but we hope that to be much improved. We're scheduled to meet with the assessor and the town administrator this week.
I mean, don't the town have an obligation to correct the ones that went out for the people who shouldn't have gotten one? Because it's not fair. It's not fair. I mean, it's not fair to somebody to try to prove something from 20 years ago.
Right. I agree. I think we're going to work on that and see what we can do. And if we need legal advice, TJ, I'm glad you volunteered.
You know what? I'll make a motion to suspend it until we figure it out. Because honestly,
there's nothing we can do. It's out of our hands. Again, just like the people who I know have passed away and have sold their boats before they died.
Yep.
I'm fully aware of it.
They won't have to worry about their license renewal if they passed away. So
that's they won't be able to vote in the next election. So, you know.
All right.
Kevin, if they had the correct lists before and they chose to create a third list, why do you feel confident that the next bill is going to have an accurate list?
I didn't say it would be accurate. I said it would be much more accurate. Donna, you're muted. There we go.
The real problem is the assessor apparently received a list from the state, whether it was requested or not, of all the actively titled boats in Dartmouth.
Right.
What should have been requested or provided is a list of all the actively registered boats in the town of Dartmouth.
Yep.
And that's a huge difference.
What if we get that list? What if we get the actively registered list, compare it against the list that we got for titled, and take off the ones that aren't on the same thing?
Exactly. We will be working on that. Please, everybody, have a little faith that Donna, in addition to her duties on the ceremony, we will get this list in better shape, and it will go out by April 30th because that's a deadline that we have, a fiscal deadline that we have to meet. So.
Oh, he's speaking about you, Dana? He's not talking about somebody in the assessor's office? Oh, God bless you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, because we've been talking to them. We'll see.
Yeah, we
what
have
can
been.
Clean up.
We certainly thank you. And if we had known ahead of time you were going overseas, we would have reined you in even sooner, but that's okay. We're glad you're back. Okay, let's move on to the next item. If we don't have any more issues with this one. Okay. Excise database conversion delayed, waterway billing. Steve, the conversion, you want to comment a little bit on number 5?
It's just as bad as,
Can-
well,
can-
almost as bad as the excise
Before we go
tax.
on, can I go back to the last thing? I think
ahead,
it would behoove us. I think it would behoove us to come up with a way of erasing the bills for the
Yep.
people who got them that don't work without them prove. And Steve makes a good point. I don't have titles for boats I sold 20 years ago.
Exactly. That's on the front of the radar to make sure that we're going to get some kind of an acceptance claim that we're just going to take somebody's word for it. So we'll see what we can do.
What everyone here has to understand is that the we correcting it can't be done. There's only one person in town, and that's the assessor. That's the only person who has power and ability to abate fully or partially any excise bill.
That's all true. We're going to work on her being able to do that somehow between the town and the state, the town being the assessor. So I may be whistling in the wind here, but I hope there's something, once we explain to the state what happened, that we can get this issue resolved.
I got to tell you, the registry of boats in Fall River, they're painting a target on our back because the lines have been unbelievable. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'm hearing the stories about lines of people. So.
I'm sure moving forward that everyone's going to do what they have to do to get off that list when they do sell their boats. So it's just a process we got to go through.
TJ's comment is that it's not their responsibility.
It's not their responsibility. It's unrealistic.
I understand, and I agree. I'm not trying to fight anybody on that. So we'll see what we can come up with, and I'll keep it posted. So, Steve, on number 5, so the database, I guess that's all kind of delayed.
Still not done. We went with a reputable, highly recommended database provider, and it was promised for the second week of February, and we're in the second week of March, and I've got no bills to send out and no ability to look up half of the problems that come in from the excise tax. I'm trying to go from memory, and that's not as good as it used to be.
Would you get a hold of that software company, contact and set up a meeting between you?
We're meeting daily. We're in contact daily, and they're trying to reach out to Julian now, and hopefully they're going to pay him for his expertise. They've got a woman in Croatia that was working on coding this, and I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a computer person, never pretended to be. I went with someone that I thought would take care of this for us, and I'm still waiting. So no bills have been generated. No revenue can be generated. I don't know what the fallback position would be at this point, but we're all in with this company, which we haven't paid yet, thankfully, until we get something that we can raise revenue from.
How did the bills go out? How did the bills go out last year, Steve?
We used Julian's database and worked with him, and that database has been mined, and that data has been converted, and we have nothing set up for fiscal year 2025.
Okay.
But the best we could do at this point is take last year's bills and reprint them and manually change the 4 to a 5.
Okay.
But that's not practical either. But
we may come down to that from trying to assess what you're saying. I would like to get at least a phone call from these guys so I could speak to them personally. I'm sure you're doing everything possible, and not that I can do anything, but I just like to hear it from them and let them hear it from me that they're holding up. That this is a very serious situation for us, and that if they expect to complete this project and be paid, that they got to get going on this. So this should be job one for them. So anybody else on this subject?
No,
Okay,
Steve,
moving
Steve, let me know if I can help with anything. I mean, I'm
All right,
sure I
thank
can
you.
at this point, but don't be shy.
All right, thank you.
So number 6, Waterways Commission Delegate Representative to the Town Clean Water Group. I've been contacted by Rob Almy regarding the group that they're setting up for the clean water issues. He's requesting a member from all of the applicable committees to have a representative to that group. Andrea has kind of handled most of this clean water stuff in the past, and I've spoken to her previously, and everybody's fine. And I don't know where you are in my galleries here, but can't tell who's pointing at who. But I think I got a 90% answer that Andrea would be good for this, and if she'll take, and if it gets to be too much, Andrea, just let us know. But if we can put that report to Rob Almy that you're going to jump on that group from our group, that'd be great.
Can I ask that that Roger be my technical advisor?
No problem there.
Andrea,
Thanks.
as always, I'm happy to help out, and certainly I guess there's a meeting in April that I got an email. I'm sure you were on that trail too. We can discuss more, but I'm happy to be a technical advisor. I'm happy to obviously sponsor clean water in the town of Dartmouth. I think this is a good first step. So let's see what happens, Andrea. I'm not. It's taken them a year to get this far. So hey.
Right.
Oddly, I did not get that email, Roger, so I guess I'm not going to have to be part of it. But
You're off the hook, Steve. You're off the hook.
What would you contribute if you were part of it, so that I know what questions to ask you?
I don't know what the group, other than the clean water part, which I get, I don't know the function, the purpose. But I'm sure there are going to be questions about what goes where and who does what that somebody on the water would be able to answer. Beyond that, I don't know.
I'll bring any.
I'm not
I've
asking.
got your contacts. I'll any direct questions I'll just send to you. They'll save you a lot of time.
Sure. I'm not asking for another meeting. I just was surprised, again, I shouldn't be, that the right hand and left hand of town government don't communicate, but that's fine.
I think what they probably want to do, Steve, is continue to monitor water quality in both the upper Apponeganset, the harbor, and maybe over in some of the rivers and streams and estuaries. And for that, they may need to hitch a ride on a boat at some point someday. That would probably be what I would envision.
Boats we got. Database, not so much.
We'll stick to boats.
Are we all,
Yeah.
are we all good with that number 6? Can we move on to number 7, which is the select board request for additional personnel townwide? And Steve, give us the good news on that.
I sent out in advance because the deadline was yesterday, and I did submit our request, which is the same request that was made at the October 31st, 2022 meeting of the select board, meeting jointly with the Waterways Commission for permanent administrative help, whatever the term is today. Clerical assistant, administrative assistant, secretary, I don't know, I don't care. Someone, and the duties, job 1 is to get our phone fixed. Job 2, answer the phone. We don't have presence for the public to contact. And it frustrates them, and that frustration pours over, and it's frustrating to me. But we're a 24/7 operation. We're getting information about everything, from shopping carts in the harbor to dead birds on the shore. It doesn't end. And there's a limit to how much 2 people can answer or respond or even be available for. So that's where that is. It was acknowledged as received. So I assume, I don't know what happens next with the request. I assume it'll be digested at a board meeting, 4 of the 5 board members that are sitting now were at that meeting, and all 5 at the time agreed that we needed someone in the office. The only sticking point then was the town administrator, who's no longer there and whose opinion, I dare say, is no longer valued. So,
Okay, well, on the good news, we do have a new town administrator, Gary. We've gotten an extreme amount of cooperation from Gary and a willingness to help us out. So, Steve, are you looking around already for somebody that we actually have in the wings for this position, or?
always, I don't have a name. There are people that I think would be great, but
Yeah.
may not be interested in working for the town. I can't imagine why. But I think there'll be interest in it. I think once the position is defined as full-time or part-time or full-time seasonal, part-time, however it's defined, with a benefits package laid out, will determine how many people might actually be interested.
Is there some type of an ad that we can put out temporarily to get you somebody without a huge description, just kind of a clerical help type of thing, and someone that would come on board to kind of help?
I'd ask the personnel director, but we don't have one of those either.
Okay, well,
So
that leaves it to you.
Yep.
Kevin, if I may, we had very good luck with our little news announcement with the new Dias Landing. Tremendous response. How about a news announcement that we've now, and I was with Gary, he wants full-time help for Steve, realizing that you need to have historical knowledge and somebody who's computer literate to keep any organization going, and maybe make a little news announcement to go in the paper and just go fishing, see what people respond, and say, look, if you're want to work and like and capable of basic level stuff, I mean, Microsoft Office and computer literate and answer a phone. I don't think we're not asking for too many PhDs here. I think just good, solid, and willing to show up every day and help with the work. If we made a news announcement that we're really actively involved and want to get this going, you might be pleasantly surprised.
I think that's a good idea. I'll run that by Gary and see if we can get permission to run a little blurb on in the Dartmouth Weekly, and we'll hope for the best.
Can I ask,
Yes.
is there money in our current fiscal year budget for this position?
It probably, it was not budgeted specifically. This was the fiscal year that we are in, which is 25, was the first year that clerical was removed because, quite frankly, I was told by the prior town administrator that the job isn't going to appear. So I didn't budget clerical. But there are assistant harbor master salary amounts that are not being used that can be used for that purpose. So that's my answer.
So we're a placeholder for it.
Right, the fiscal year 26 budget, which is still pending, subject to review, there is a full-time clerical assistant position that I've asked for. So
I just don't know how you can hire someone if you don't have.
yeah, I mean,
well, that'll be.
You don't have money. You don't know the benefits. You don't know the hours.
Right. That's what we'll talk to Gary about. If there's some money available somewhere, I would imagine
the money is available there.
Right.
in the assistant harbor master.
Sure.
Transferring the money over into you can be done, but
yeah.
But well, you can't advertise if you don't know the number of hours and how much money you have to pay them, or if they can get benefits.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then there's that union question.
If we designed an ad somehow that we're kind of getting an interim person, the part-time, Gary would be the best one to help out. Those are good points you're raising, Andrea, that we just can't throw something out there, but I'm sure we can come up with something that'll get us by if someone wants to work a little bit without the benefits, or maybe it would just be a consultant.
Oh no, make them full-time, give them benefits, give them everything. Otherwise you'll never get anybody.
Absolutely. If it's qualified, fine. But
It may take us a little while to get to that point, so I'm just, this
Yeah, I
ad
mean,
might.
to Kevin's point, if we can get something in with what we have, get it, and then we can convert it as we go along, rather than we just wait and we never get it again,
Right,
is what I'm worried about.
let's get
Right.
somebody in there doing something, yeah.
So advertise for an assistant harbor master who has the clerical description. Take the clerical job description and call it the assistant harbor master because you've got a job title for that.
Right.
There you
And
go,
do it
Andrea.
with-
Well done. And I think Kevin was saying that in the same way, but I think that was a
Thank you,
much
Chief.
more departmental focused way of doing it.
Don't ask to change the position. Just
No.
hire the position that you have.
Okay, if we're all good there, departmental budget. The UMass sailing team request for floating dock usage. Steve, you have the floor again.
I've sent off to all of you the email information that I've received. And this is new. Obviously, we've not had sailing on the north side. This is a program that Andy might have some insight into because I think it was started in Clark's Cove, maybe under CBC or with CBC. And we did have some history with UMass Dartmouth looking to rent or use the Rogers Street facility from us, and they declined and went to CBC. And what we're talking about is a 12 by 20 float that was at the end of the old pier. It is going to have a purpose somewhere, but I don't know what we're going to use it for, best use for it at this point. So it will be going in the water with the rest of the floats. So I am not at this point looking to get rid of it permanently, but I wouldn't be opposed to loaning it. Problems that come up are, what are you going to tie it to? Who's going to get the call at 2 o'clock in the morning when it breaks free? And who's going to be responsible for moving it around, mooring it, that kind of stuff.
Roger?
I have several questions. Looking at the UMass Dartmouth website, they had photographs of obviously working and sailing out of community boating. Then they had pictures of at the yacht club. What the heck happened, Andy?
Yeah, so a little history there. So the team started as a varsity sport. It was a women's sailing team, and that's when they were sailing at CBC. At one point, the varsity status was stripped from the team. Not just the sailing team. At one point, they stripped a bunch of sports at the university, and it then became a club team. At that point, as a club team, they were not looking to pay the fee that CBC charged them to use our facility and our boats. So they were our boats at the time.
Right.
So at that point, they acquired some old FJs,
Right.
and approached the yacht club to move over there. So then they
Okay.
sailed. They've been sailing out of the yacht club for 2 seasons, maybe 2 or 3 seasons.
And why don't they
and
stay there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit, there were some conflicts there. I don't know all the insight, but maybe getting a little autonomy to kind of have their own space and do their own thing, perhaps. I don't know all the insights to that. I don't want to speculate too much.
Okay, so I'm going to go on record as saying I really don't want 6 FJs and a bunch of novices sailing around the upper Apponeganset. It's going to lead to a problem. I guarantee it. Those I've seen sailing teams work. I used to be one. They should be out in the
South
outer
of the breakwater.
Yeah. So the other thing I happen to know is SMAS right behind me has a beautiful pier. They gave away their dock. If they had a floating dock and put it out over the pier at SMAS, they've got parking, open access to the open Clark's Cove, and could be a great place for them to sail.
Yeah, I don't they're not opposed to that. I know from a conversation. It's just right now they don't have the capabilities to do that because SMAS got rid of it, and I think they might have pulled some pilings too. So they're in talks to try to get SMAS in play.
Okay.
I don't know how they came about the Aponagansett route.
Yeah.
That I'm not familiar with because I guess they talked to the Parks Department on that one.
Yeah. Well,
Because
the parks isn't going to have to pick up the pieces of the broken FJs and they go on the rocks there at the point or run aground over in the estuary and just generally run amok. I would be totally against sailing team up in that upper harbor.
I don't know. I'm not even sure we can do it from a liability standpoint. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I mean, with that, with the cost of them getting insurance coverage to benefit the town will probably be more than renting the boats from you guys. So
yeah, well,
it's a club sport. I mean, it's a club sport. It's a voluntary organization. I mean, I really, I'm struggling with how I always want to try to help out. Of course, you want to try to help out and encourage, the use of the water and things along those lines. But I'm not sure how we get around the liability issue of now using a public property for private use, essentially.
Right.
So
I
Steve,
agree, TJ.
Yeah, I don't know how they're set up.
I don't
in
have
that
an
regard.
answer to that either, but it would have to be flushed out in a big way first.
Yeah, it's when we worked with them, it was directly with the university, and we'd get a certificate of insurance from the university. So I don't know how that works as a club sport. And I do, on the opposite side, Roger, I do think it could be a pretty cool sailing venue up there. Because you're protected, you're sheltered. That time of year, the weather's really inclement, and typically right now, what they do is they sail inside the harbor as close to the aqua as they can, where they're banging in a winter sticks, and they don't move out. They don't move out until boats start going in the water. Again, it's real. This time of year, it's not the most favorable for most people to go sailing. So the closer you are to shore, really, the better it is.
No, I hear you, Andy. I'm just very concerned about, just as you said, it's a congested area and it is shallow and it is rocky.
It is. Yep. No, that's true. Yeah, and it's tough too because they're not really, being out there on dollies, or if they get the float, they don't really have a lot of amenities for the kids either. There's no restrooms, so it's going to be a challenging venue to work at. But it sounds like they've talked to the park department and worked something out. I just don't know what those details are.
Yeah, I'd love to see that in writing. And where are they going to park? Where are they going to use bathrooms? It's going to be boys and girls. I mean, I just think there are a lot of questions in the insurance aspect of it. I think they should explore SMAS. We could sell them a float for $1, and then they could set up their whole operation over there where it's university to university, right? So that should really simplify things a great deal.
See,
Kevin, did Peter reach out to you on the motorboat? Kevin,
what's that?
Did Peter Van Collen reach out to you about on the motorboat?
I didn't hear anything directly from Peter. No.
Hmm.
What is their sailing season? Is it similar to the high school program?
Yep. They do fall and spring. Oh,
the spring. Okay, so the fall is a little more problematic with boats in the water, maybe more so than the spring.
So I do know Peter was also going to reach out. So I guess I'll bring it up here. I told him to put it through the channels to get it on the agenda, where they were looking to maybe ask to tie up their support boat to the new docks.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
They can get in line.
I'm surprised he didn't reach out to put that.
We're wandering into an area we don't belong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got a problem that, again, I'm the last to know, but we're going to give away those spots to people who are paying.
Yeah, I don't see
They're
that
not on my list. So
yeah, Steve, could we? Is it possible that we would be willing to loan them a float? If it comes that they got a purpose for it somewhere that we can approve of, that they're free to use the float for a year anyway, till they can come up with something different. That's not anything that's making money for us right now. It could be put to good use. And the other point is, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Okay. My answer is the commission can vote that we loan them a float.
Okay.
But there are questions that need to be answered. Again, first, as TJ said, liability. Someone gets a splinter, gets hurt on that float.
Yep.
2, where you're going to keep it. It's not going to interfere with the rec area, the beach, or boaters.
Yep.
3, what are you going to do with it in the summer when you don't need it? Are you going to pay to haul it and store it, or is it going to stay, in harm's way where I've got to babysit it until you need it in the fall? There are questions that need to be answered.
Right. Who's going to remove anything on it when there's a storm? And the last thing you want is that thing going through the harbor, because nobody took responsibility for it, or everybody's gone home for the summer. We're wandering into a place we don't need to be.
Right.
Yep. It can't be anchored because we don't allow anchoring, and an anchor is not going to hold it in a storm. And you're right, in a storm, it becomes a battering ram, and they're going to look at us. They're going to look at me. They're not going to look at somebody, Peter, or the school, because the person who's aggrieved by it, whether you're a neighboring boat and the birds are roosting on it and then they're pooping on your boat, or it breaks free and it damages your boat, they're going to be looking to us as to why. And I don't have the answer at this point. I didn't even know that they needed a place to keep a chase boat because nobody asked. And I mean, anyway, so I don't think this has been thought through, and I don't think the proper permissions have been sought. I'm on my email 10 times a day, so I could have been asked any of these things before it was posted or planned. And
let's leave it that we're willing to listen to them when they have some type of a suggestion and addresses our concerns, and that we'll review the matter at that time and just put the burden on them right now to come up with a plan and see if it's something we can make work. And if not, we'll tell them we can't do that either. But
does it make sense to have a committee member be a liaison on this offline if Andy's offering?
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that.
I think the bus went that way.
No, I mean, I'd be happy. I mean, obviously, I'm passionate about supporting getting people on the water and, that activity. So, I can connect with Steve and make sure we get the list of questions that need to be answered. And then I can work with Peter to have something put together. Happy to do that.
Hearing a unanimous vote. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to number 9, the public comment. I don't see anybody right here. Before we adjourn the next meeting would be on April the 8th, which would be the second Tuesday, as far as I know. We'll have that at noontime. And before we adjourn, I'd like to thank DC TV over there, who's handling these meetings for us. And Michael, if that's you, then thank you very much. And if it's someone else, thank you too. So any questions on the next meeting?
Yeah, Kev, I can't make that one. Apologies. Okay. I'll be in the air. So
okay.
What's the date on it?
That's April the 8th is the second Tuesday, which is kind of what we'd assigned for meeting the second Tuesdays of the month.
I'm going to amend my statement earlier. Dana, you can put me on the planning subcommittee. Just
okay. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And understanding that Donna, you're responsible for the minutes of this meeting? Is that you and
Yes.
Andrew think for that? Okay. All right. So we get that straight. Anything else before
Kevin?
Yes.
This is Peter from DCTV. I just wanted to quickly advise you that as of right now, the Zoom protocol in Massachusetts ends March 31st. So unless there is a new law passed or extended, you cannot have a quorum via Zoom.
Okay,
so it goes back to the old meeting laws.
Yep. That's a great piece of information.
Just so you know, there are some bills in front of the State House, but nothing has been acted on as of today.
Okay, that's good news, or different news.
Date and time, and we'll leave the forum to be determined.
Okay, yeah, that's what we'll do, and I'll be in touch with you. Yes,
I think that's going to get fixed. So let's hold the time, and if we don't have enough people, then we'll just move it at that point.
Yeah. Well, if it's not going to be Zoom, we'll have to meet in person somewhere.
That's what I mean. You're going to have to have a physical meeting.
Yeah, so I assume that would be a town hall. I'll speak to town administrator and see if he wants that meeting recording. Typically, before all this started, our Waterways meetings were not recorded. We just met at town hall, so if that's the format we can go back to, that would be okay with me. And we'll check on the time and days. Different days might work better for an in-person meeting. So I'll kind of filter through the group over the next couple of weeks and see what works for us. So. Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion
moved.
made.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll be in touch.